こんにちは、今日はですね、僕のおじさんのアトリエに、本誌でもですね、よく登場していただいている、Lutays というフランスのブランドのデザイナー、ジャン・バティストさんに来ていただいてます。今日はジャン・バティストさんに、フレンチファッションとは何かというですね、フレンチスタイル、フレンチファッションについて、ちょっとインタビューを、させていただきたいと思います。今日はよろしくお願いいたします。ジャン・バティストさんが、今まで見てきた、フレンチスタイルっていうのはですね、どんなものなんでしょうか。
So first of all, thank you very much for your invitation. So French style, from my point of view, I would say this: like in menswear, for the moment, you have clear Italian style, English style, and American style. I think French style could be interesting to study as well, to be able to play around and to understand a different way of thinking about clothing and aesthetic. So, but French style, if I would say it very shortly, it's about it's focus on quality and excellence, like savoir-faire. It's focus on sophistication, refinement, obsession for little details to make it perfect. It's kind of the intellectual part of French culture that is very rewarded in France, very intellectual literature culture. So excellence, sophistication, and I would say beauty. Beauty is very important. It needs to be beautiful. Like you see the churches, the cities, the art. Sometimes beauty is even more important than truth, for example. So I would say yes, excellence, sophistication, and beauty.
具体的に言うとですね、日本の、ファッション、ファッションスタイルっていうのはですね、非常にアメリカであったり IP からの影響が強いんですけれども、フランスのファッションではどうなんでしょうか。
So from researching about French style, I discovered many things. One thing I realized is that menswear is influenced by the dominating culture. So until Napoleon, people in the Western world dressed à la française, the French way, with their values and their aesthetic. After you had the Great British Empire, and so people dressed the English way. And after Second World War, the United States became very dominant, and so they came with their culture. And so I totally understand why it's a big influence into our world and into menswear, and such as the Japanese people, French also people are also influenced by the dominant culture for the moment.
なるほど。よくフランスの人と話しているときに、もしくはいろんな本を読んでいると、エスプリっていう言葉がよくフランスの文献とか言葉では出てくるんですね。で、このエスプリっていう言葉について、ジャン・バティストさんはどんな風に定義されてますか？
It's a good question. So, France is a political nation. So it's a culture, a nation built around ideas. So some other countries are built around races or religion, but French is mostly about an idea, like the United States of America. Little bit same mindset. So you can be whatever color, religion. It's about the French spirit. It's the esprit français. So what is the French spirit? That's a good question. I would say it's so first, esprit means spirit. So it's really the heart of the French culture. But French spirit is about sharing the same culture and aesthetic codes and memory of the French culture. So we could say that yes, and so this is one thing. So it's very important because it's not about race, it's about the ideas and the mindset. So French spirit is about it's more about guidelines and philosophies than rules. This is why it's a little bit abstract. It's abstract because guidelines, you can follow them, but it's not as precise as rules. So it gives you cannot hide from the principle, but at the same time, you can. It gives you more freedom. So this is why it's a little bit abstract and difficult for people to understand. But I would say that the French spirit in general is shaped by producer culture because until not so long ago, 90% of the French used to be working in the rural areas. They were farmers and agriculture. Also, it has been shaped by the long aristocratic regime and the kings of France. It's been very long time. Also, it's been influenced by some military, by Catholic religion, Christian, but more precise Catholic, and also this Latin spirit coming from the Romans, because yes, those so many influence that creates this type of unique French spirits.
Yeah.
And from there, it translates into the wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why from all those type of spirits, it translates to a certain aesthetic, a certain color palette, certain textures and patterns.
So you can define esprit as a French spirit.
Yes, yes. You are French spirit is kind of the software of a Frenchman. It's the software.
なるほど。
So this is why you can be any color, any. It's the software, and this is why this philosophy is very special in the Western world, and this is why many people, even they are not French, they cherish this type of spirit and they understand. So the former Queen of England, Elizabeth II, speaks well French, understands perfectly French. I've heard that, like Xi Jinping in China is training his children a little bit French. So many people, like Winston Churchill, was a big fan of Napoleon to understand everything. So it's a culture, but it's also a software for the French.
なるほど。今現在具体的に例えばこうそのフレンチスピリットを感じる、ブランドであったりお店であったりあとそういう格好をしている有名人みたいなものは存在するんですか？
French style, yes. Like in cinema, like in today's, I would say Gérard Depardieu, it's a classic. More recent would be Jean Dujardin, for sure. Those are really the two main. But of course, then you have Brigitte Bardot, you have Alain Delon, classic French icon. Amongst politicians, I would say Dominique de Villepin during the Iraq conflict was typical French, and his speech at NATO was a moment of panache, very special. French history it's like a French history, this type of moment. But then you have iconic French lawyers like Jacques Vergès, very iconic lawyer. You have, I think, one very elegant man, to my opinion, is Alain Ducasse. Alain Ducasse,
yeah.
Very chic, very aesthetic person. In terms of sportsman, in a different way, you will have Dupont in rugby, and just before that you had Chabal, with the long hair, very strong man. So, and to a certain extent, you can understand, like in UFC, like Ultimate Fighting, you see now Benoit Saint-Denis is typical, trying a certain way of pure French style with certain references.
ブランドでいうとこう今そういうフレンチスタイルっていうのを体現しているブランドはフランスにあるんですか？
Just before that, I think it's important to make the difference between French style and Parisian style. So, French style is more general. It's about many different local culture that makes France what it is, and its culture and its wardrobe. So you have some brands that are very attached to the general situation of France. And then you have Parisian style, which is like a little bit more elitist mindset, very elitist focus. So for them, they want to be number one and they want to be the best. And if the best means very different influences or teaming up with some different cultures, they will do it. This is why sometimes French style and Parisian style are sometimes different. So coming back to your question, so to my opinion, typical French, like the French spirit, French style, you have like Lacoste, you have Hermès, you have Longchamp, in a certain way, Longchamp. You have Air France. Air France, it's beautiful. The advertising, they understand. You can see
Air France.
Air France, yes. You have, I would say this for the moment, and maybe some. I hesitate a little bit with Ricard, but yes, those type of brands. I say, or Michelin. The tires, Michelin, typical French spirit brand. Now, I would say like Parisian style, you have other very interesting names, but as I say, a little bit different. So, I would say a little bit more fashion, I would say. But I don't know, for example, maybe like Dior would be a little bit more Parisian style. Some people will not agree, but I think Dior. And to me, like Chanel is in between.
Chanel.
Between. They've got very concerned about French craftsmanship, but at the same time they share this very clinical sharpness of the Parisian style. So I would say yes, French style, Parisian style. Some brands are in between. But let's say Jean-Paul Gaultier, Parisian style. Pure Louboutin, Parisian. Like Moulin Rouge, Parisian, very Parisian. So little bit different.
リューテスが志向している、あなたがやっているリューテスが志向しているのは、フレンチスタイルなんですか、それともパリスタイルなんですか？
It follows French style. So you have two ways of considering Paris, because Lutays refers directly to Paris. It's the original name of Paris, but it used to be called Lutays or Lutetia, and now it's Paris, like Edo and Tokyo. So you have different interpretation from the French about Paris. So I see like French style Paris as the capital of France. So it's kind of the center of a country, which is France. So many influence come to be presented in Paris.
Okay.
Parisian style, they think Paris is a country. So it depends what spectrum you want. And this spectrum and gives different values and different aesthetic. So, but yes, I would put it like this. Yes. So Lutays is definitely French style and wants to be more broad than only Paris, but it's reflecting the heart of Paris, which is the heart of French style.
例えばこう具体的にそのあなたのブランドのどういうところにフランスの、僕たちはフランスのスピリットをこう感じればいいんですか？
I mean, it's everything, like literally everything. So, the company is French. The name refers directly to France. The logo is the French panache, which is the symbol of French elegance. So, like Italian have sprezzatura, English invented dandyism, and French have panache. So it's a feather that used to be worn by King of France and after by the aristocrat, to show your bravery and aesthetic beauty on the battlefield and in real life. So the logo, the name, all the production of France, so technically every single item is entirely made in France. So from the silk carré to the jacket to the trouser, everything, and it will always be the DNA of Lutays, everything will be entirely made in France using the finest savoir-faire. And then, what else can I say? Yes, very, very important. The wardrobe of Lutays, every item of Lutays, is not only made in France, but it's rooted in French culture. So that's very specific also. It's very like a very purist approach. So, for example, for the hats, then we pick the beret, because beret is typically French. For the shoes, we get the espadrille, because it's typical from French culture. And every single item needs to be and is rooted in French style. So I'm not except the fabric, because sometimes we have French fabric, but sometimes we have wonderful fabric. So quality of the fabric is the most important thing. Quality, which is very French also, like looking for the best quality. So it's the only thing where it serves the brand, but it's not every time French. But all the rest is French. And even, I can say now, even myself, I'm French now. So
なるほど。そういうLutaysのワードローブって僕たち日本人にも似合うと思ってますか？
I think so. I think so because for two reasons. Like Lutays is the home of French couture. So two concepts, like French and couture savoir-faire. Couture spirit also, which is French spirit into wardrobe. But the idea is that French style focus on excellence, high quality, beauty, like comfort, aesthetic. So all those values can be picked up by anybody. Anybody can like this type of values. So this is one thing that is very important. And the second thing is that the couture spirit is very French, but is very useful for this modern day, because couture savoir-faire is a progress driven. So it's future driven. It's always how can we use the best of technology and tradition for improving. So this is also something is very up to date, like as values. So, and also because then the sophistication in couture and French style makes it easier for people to take it for your own personality and own style. It is not very strong at first, so you can easily absorb it and make it your own style. It's very, I would say it's very open-minded, so this is why you can pick from this type of style.
世界的にすごくものづくりのグローバル化っていうのが進んでいますけれども、Lutaysっていうすごくフランスらしいブランド、そこを継続するのはなんていうんですかね、とっても難しいんじゃないですか？
So the fact is that, how can I say it? So the French culture is quite excellence driven. So always looking for the best, trying to make the best because of Catholic roots where you need to be good to go to heaven, the best because long aristocratic path, so you need to be better and better. So for yourself, for your soul, for your friends, all the time the best. So now that globalization is challenging, because it's a different philosophy now. It's more, maybe more money driven, many more different values. So the French remained French. So they focus on quality. So you could say that French culture is challenged for the moment and French production is challenged. So it shrinks, but what keeps it is still the most excellent savoir-faire. So for Lutays, it is difficult to find everything French-made, but at the same time, like French-made is focused on high quality, so it's kind of little bit saved by globalization. If French culture was about premium, then it would be disappearing. But because it always focuses on excellence, even in this world, excellence is important. So it is smaller, more niche, more hidden, but it's still there.
今後の展望というか、どんな風になっていきたいっていう目標みたいなものはルテスにおいてあるんですか？
The goal and the mission of Lutays is being the home of French couture. So basically, we'll just continue to expand our vision. So we started with 3 jackets. Now we have over 10 models. Then we have the trousers, the knitwear. So Lutays is going to. It's a vision. It's like if you like French culture, if you like the best of the best of French culture, you just go to Lutays. And it's going always to be French made, it's going to have French culture history. So it's kind of easy. I just need to continue to develop, and I'm very lucky, we are very lucky to be supported by clients from all over the world because they want to see more of French culture, more of excellence. And so, we are being helped and supported by global community to make French style more visible and more enjoyable. So it's future is.
わかりました。ちょっとこれからもいいコラボレーションをリューテスとはし続けたいと思っていますので、今後ともよろしくお願いいたします。Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.